For having me, Molly.
Absolutely. So, just some questions to kind of ask to get our families, students, counselors a bit more familiar with Southwest if they're not already. So, just to kind of start, when does normally the admissions application typically open, and how can students apply for that?
So it typically opens in July for the following August. So you can go ahead and start applying now if you're planning on coming in next fall with us. Of course, if you're wanting to start in January of this year or this coming year, you need to go ahead and apply as soon as possible because we've only got a couple weeks left that we'll be in the office, but you will have a little bit of time when we come back in January.
Awesome. Okay. So pretty typical admissions sort of application and the process of applying. Cool.
Yes.
Now, what about items that are needed for the application process? What do students kind of need to expect there?
So of course we have an online application process. We do have a paper application if you don't have access or if there's any glitches that come up. So the application for admissions will also need copies of your ACT scores, and we will need your transcript after graduation. So that's something that does set us apart a little bit from some of the other admissions processes. We need your transcript with your high school graduation date and your principal's signature on it. So you don't have to send us one now and later, just wait and send us one later. If you have taken any dual enrollment classes anytime during your high school career, we will also need copies of your transcripts from the colleges or universities that you took those dual enrollment classes from. With that being said, some of you will be taking classes in the fall and in the spring. So that transcript may look like it's still in progress. So you want to make sure that your final grades are posted at that college or university you're taking those dual enrollment classes from before you send it to us.
Yeah, that's always a good note. So I'm glad you mentioned that because that's important for students to know.
Yes.
Now, I know you kind of mentioned this kind of goes along with the application process, I guess, but ACT wise, is there a certain ACT and or GPA that ensures an academic scholarship for students?
Yes, so we do have an open admissions policy as far as ACTs and GPAs. So as long as you have a high school graduation diploma, standard diploma, or GED or equivalent high school equivalency test scores, you can be admitted. As far as scholarships, you have to have at least a 21 on the ACT. That starts our scholarship process. So 21 to 24 is a half tuition scholarship. 25 to 28 is full tuition, and a 29 and up is full tuition, full housing, and full meal plan. So the only thing you would have left to cover are student and technology fees and book fees.
Fantastic. That's great to know.
Yes.
Along with that sort of same route, is the ACT super score or is it highest composite used for admissions and scholarship processes? Maybe for y'all, what does that look like?
We look at super scores, yes.
Okay,
So
great.
we do honor super scores. Now, sometimes students will have to send those super scores to us individually from ACT. So you want to make sure that you do that on the front end. So, and we do honor ACT and super scores through July of your senior year. So we don't have a cutoff during the year. It's basically just before you start classes in August.
Awesome. Okay, that's also great to know because we know so many of our schools may have specific dates around. This is the last time you can send in that score. So July, you said.
Yes.
That's awesome. Around that same kind of conversation about scholarships, is there a separate scholarship application required? And if so, is there a scholarship application or admissions application deadline to be considered for those scholarships?
Yes, so we have a rolling admissions process. So there's really no deadline for admissions. And we also have 13 different sections throughout the year that you can sign up for academic classes. Our career technical side of campus is a little more specific because those programs are set up more like full-time jobs. So you do have certain deadlines you have to meet with them, but we actually have a winter, our fall semester just ended last Friday, and our winter semester geared up today. So we have a 2-week winter class that started today on campus. And then we also have a 3-week December online class going on. So there's all kinds of ways to come to school at Southwest. which is so incredible right now with so many of our high school students transitioning to college who are in our workforce. So we can do that. Now, as far as the applications for scholarships, going back to the root of your question, we do have 2 competitive scholarship applications. Now, the academic merit scholarships, the ACT scholarships, there's no application for those. You make the grade, you get the scholarship. But with our 2 competitive scholarship applications, there's the SMCC Foundation and the SMCC institutional scholarships. So those 2 applications will submit your name to every competitive scholarship that we have here at Southwest. Those applications are due in March and April. So even students who are graduating this May, we still have time to get them ready for the fall semester. I always tell students, if there is an ACT scholarship or ACT requirement attached to any of those competitive scholarships, we will take your highest that we have on record at that time.
So that's great. So those competitive scholarships, are there any other unique sort of scholarships that are specific to Southwest that students need to know about? So
of course, like any other college or university, we have a wide array of performance-based scholarships. One thing that is incredibly unique to Southwest is our SMCC stage band. Those are performance-based scholarships. It's several different ensembles that come together to put on a huge production. We just finished it up. We just wrapped it up yesterday.
Wow.
It's a 4-day production that we do, lighting and sound, and we showcase our students' talents. So if you have a student who would like kind of a continuation of show choir, but doesn't really have a way to show that on the university level, Southwest may be a great fit for them, because this is all live music. We have an on-stage band. We have on-stage singers and dancers. And I know that not all of that seems to be unique because they offer that many places in Mississippi. But the way that we package it and put it into a production, I don't think there's anywhere else that does it quite like we do. So it's basically like an action-packed 1-hour concert for these students to showcase their talents.
That's fantastic. I want to see that.
Well, you can actually, it's streaming on Bear TV right now. So if you would like to see our show, you just go to smccbears.tv and click in the archives, and you can see our Friday night and our Saturday night shows were streamed live. So they're archived in Bear TV.
I will do that. And that's
awesome.
That's really great. That's a great opportunity for students. So thank you for sharing that piece too. So with kind of talking about scholarships, we've talked about the application process. The FAFSA,
yes.
Is completing the FAFSA required for all admitted students?
So it is not, but it is required to be able to get a scholarship put on your account. So it is not required for all of our admitted students, but if a student is planning on receiving a scholarship, even a performance-based scholarship, when I go into our high schools, I use the example, if you're the number 1 quarterback in the nation and we happen to recruit you here, we can't put a scholarship on your account unless your FAFSA is on file. You don't have to be receiving federal aid. You don't have to qualify for anything. You just have to have applied for it.
Got it. Perfect. That was going to be my next question anyway, was to say, like, what about for scholarships? So that's perfect. Yeah. And we find that a lot for a lot of schools around scholarships that might be required. Yes. How about a priority deadline? Is there anything like that for Southwest for the FAFSA?
There is not. There is not. I just encourage students to do it early. Like most college admissions officers, I've seen some horror stories and some folks who have had to pay out of pocket up front for classes. It's important to remind. I know that the guidance counselors already do a great job at this, but it's so important, parents, if you're watching, to remember it's easy to make simple mistakes when you're transcribing things in any capacity, not just on a college application or application for Pell Grant or something like that. So I've had, for instance, a grandmother who was a guardian over several of her grandchildren, and some of them had very similar social security numbers. And she applied for her 18-year-old grandson, but it looked like she was applying for her 8-year-old grandson. And so those things can be fixed, but it does take a minute to get the proper paperwork in. And we did get him finished just in the nick of time to be able to start school and not have to pay anything out of pocket. But that young man and I cried a few tears together in the process, so just the quicker we can start the FAFSA process, the more that we can fix any mistakes that might come up along the way.
Very, very true. Good to know. So into the FAFSA application, also another application that students are normally either excited to fill out or like to do it early, the housing application.
Yes,
so a housing application for Southwest. When does that typically open? And what about deadlines around that?
So our housing application is actually available online now. If you're coming in the January semester, you need to submit it as soon as possible. Coming, more traditionally, starting in August, we will start accepting housing applications on March the 1st of 2022. This year. So with our housing application, it is first come, first serve. The application's online. To have it completed, you have to also include the $150 application fee, which you can do by check or money order, or you can also pay it online. So the application, again, is not complete until we have both of those components, your application and your fee. Once we have both of those components, you're put on the housing list at that time. Now, our housing is incredibly popular at Southwest. So when it opens on March 1, usually one of our men's dorms is always full by the end of April, and our women's dorm is usually full with a waiting list by the beginning to middle of May. So it's a very quick process. And of course, we do have waiting lists and additional assignments, things like that. So there is no hard deadline for housing, but it goes pretty quick. We have students from all over the state, several different foreign countries, and quite a few states. And then a lot of our local students like to live on campus as well to get that collegiate experience. So if there's anything I could encourage you to do, apply for FAFSA early and go ahead and apply for housing early. There is a timeline on the application where if you put that $150 fee up and you decide not to come to Southwest, or if you have some life changes that require you not to live in the dorm for any reason, or maybe you just decide not to live in the dorm, then you can get that in a refund as long as you do the proper paperwork. So that's one of those things that's almost better to go ahead and pay for if you have the means to. We understand that fee is a little, it's a lot for most of us, especially right now. So we just like our students to prepare for it.
That's great to know, though, that it is a possibility for that to be refunded if a student needs to.
Right.
So very good to know. So hopefully students are listening to that one when they hear this.
Well, and a couple of things that we try to do to offset the cost of housing, because housing is very expensive. And if you live on campus, most any college and Southwest, they're going to require you to have a meal plan. So we offer in our dorms, we have energy efficient refrigerator and microwave combos that are there for you, so you don't have to bring that. We also have coin operated washers and dryers, so you don't have to worry about going downtown or uptown and using the laundromat. You can do it right here. That'll save you a little bit of gas. So we try to do that to kind of offset some of the costs. And for those of you moms and dads out there moving into the dorm, it makes it a little easier when you don't have to haul a refrigerator and a microwave.
Yes, that's so good to know as well. And I know that that is great for students who are moving into those places as well.
Yes.
Was there anything else? I'm sorry.
Well, just one more point of the dorm. We're actually working with the architect right now, and we have a new dorm that's scheduled to come online for the fall of 2023. So that'll be we opened our new men's dorm in 2016. It was full to capacity, in the fall of 2017. And so it's still practically brand new. They've done a great job of upkeeping it. Our women's dorm that year underwent a $3 million renovation, and they've
Wow.
continued renovating it. But now we've decided we need some more room for our ladies. So
There you
we
go.
will be opening a new dorm in fall of 2023 for our ladies.
So great things coming to Southwest. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, another thing too that I feel like is great for students to know about the various academic paths that a student can take. What kind of are some of those different paths that students might be able to look at if interested in Southwest?
I love the way you framed that, because the possibilities are almost endless. We can get you almost any degree that you're thinking about. We can get you your first 2 years, because of course, as many of us know, but some people don't know until they get ready to go to college that there is kind of a liberal arts core to almost any academic program. So basically, if you're a student watching this, you're like, what is she talking about? That sounds like Greek. That liberal arts core are those classes that maybe you're not really interested in, but we got to get them out of the way to get to the next step. So I have students that'll ask me all the time, why am I having to take biology when I want to do elementary education? Well, because you got to have that little bit of science background to do almost anything. So we have biology, that core, you have those core classes, and then you have kind of those extra classes that become the meat and potatoes of your major. That's the advisor side of me coming out a little bit.
Yep.
So you can do almost anything at Southwest. We are very strong in a lot of different aspects. I tell students and parents and colleagues all the time, I will put our math and science department up against anyone. Guys, I love you. I actually graduated after transferring from a Mississippi university. Also, y'all are all great, but I think we do it best right here. We have just some phenomenal math and science instructors. Of course, our English department is second to none. And then you can't go wrong with going the business route here at Southwest either. So one of our best kept secrets, I think, is our pre-engineering curriculum. We have sent, I personally get to work with a lot of the engineering students during the summer because their specific advisor he's always teaching a class. It seems like he always has a class on the schedule. He's one of our math instructors as well. And so I get to kind of see where those students go after they leave Southwest, and we send them to all the big names, and they end up being very successful and graduating. We have engineers all over the South and probably different parts of the nation right now. So you can get those first 2 years of that curriculum on a very small scale at Southwest. And I think that's what sets all of our classes apart. Whereas if you were even some of our other community colleges, our sister colleges, who are wonderful, they may be a little bit larger than we are. So
Right.
we are able to give those students a transition to those difficult maths and sciences, not just in engineering, but maybe if you want to go to med school or dental school, occupational physical therapy school, whereas you may even on a college campus be walking into a biology or chemistry with several hundred people, and another community college campus walking into that class with upwards of 60, 70 people. We can offer that walking into a classroom of 25 to 35 people. So that's one thing that makes us super special. Now, when you get on into maybe physics and organic chemistry, if that's the route you're going, or our organic chemistry class this semester had 7 students in it. So you're basically walking into a one-on-one advising session with our chemistry teacher who has a degree in polymer science. So you've got the best of the best right here, and just in the backyard in small town Summit, Mississippi. And I think that speaks volumes. Our instructors are required to post their schedules on their door and required to keep office hours to meet with students if they have any questions. Some other majors that we've been very successful in, of course, education is huge in Mississippi, as it should be. So we have a lot of students who choose the education route, and very popular right now is kinesiology on our campus. to go towards physical therapy or occupational therapy schools. So we're producing a lot of students who are ending up in those graduate programs as well. And pharmacy is always a big deal on the Southwest campus. And with our 2 pharmacy schools in Mississippi, we've been pumping students into that. I actually have a family member that just recently graduated from one of those pharmacy schools, and very successful. But she came to Southwest and went all through college. She was in her 2nd year of graduate school before she ever had to take out a student loan, because she came to Southwest and was able to successfully receive scholarships throughout the entire time. We have the #1 associate degree nursing school in the state of Mississippi right now. Our students have 99 and 100% pass rates on their national boards when they get ready to take them. That's on their first attempt at the national boards, 98 and 100% pass rates on their first attempt at the national boards. So remember, if you're thinking about nursing school, there's no better place to come than Southwest Mississippi Community College. We also have an LPN to RN transition part of that program too.
That's fantastic. I love that. And you kind of spoke about some of those programs that are unique to y'all, or that you really kind of focus on. Are there any newer programs that are existing there that students might want to hear about or know about?
So I specifically was kind of talking about the academic side of campus, but we have this, kind of 2 worlds meet and make this perfect environment at Southwest. With our career technical programs, we do have quite a few new career technical programs that have come online in recent years. Some have kind of changed a little bit. So we have it's called Process Operations Technology. It's actually oil and gas production, but you learn instrumentation that's not a new program at Southwest, but we've kind of changed our name and changed a little bit of the dynamic of it. You learn instrumentation that you can use lots of places. It was very interesting to me because my background is academic, even though I graduated from Southwest and had friends who were in these programs. It was interesting to me when I came back as a professional 10 years ago to learn more about these programs. And our students are I have a student who is actually working her way up in management in a sanitation system locally. We have students who work in food and beverage factories. Of course, we have students who work in the oil field. So there's a lot of ways that you can use this instrumentation that you learn. One program that is specifically unique to Southwest, and we literally do it the best in the nation. The only place in the United States on a college campus where you can learn to dig an oil well or a water well is here at Southwest Mississippi Community College. Wow. We have the only well construction program in the nation. So, we have students from all over and some international students that come in and take that program with us, especially living so deep in the South and so deep in the part of, Southwest Mississippi. We do send a lot of students into the oil field, and that's a great segue into that. Also, another program that's brand new to Southwest, this is our first semester having students, is our lineman program. And recently I was in a private setting at a private party and was talking to an engineer with one of the major electrical companies in Mississippi. And he said, "Karen Lee, tell these guys and girls that we need linemen and that they're paying big bucks for them." And so that's where my personal life, as we all do, in education, kind of filtered over to my professional life. And I was like, hey, let's get people signed up for this lineman program. Because, I joke and say, hey, y'all are majoring in money. That's really what you're doing. So that's a brand new program to Southwest. We're so excited about it as well. I tell students in the classroom when I get to go in and visit in our district classes, some of you are tired of being in the classroom, and parents, you may be watching this and you may be thinking, I don't know how I'll ever get my kid to go to college because they just don't want to do the bookwork anymore. And these career technical programs give you the college experience and all the great things that come with that. But you're able to work with your hands, or you're able to be outside, or you're able to, go into a cosmetology studio and see someone different every day. And so those, it's so important to remember the career technical side of our community college system.
Absolutely. So I'm so glad that you talked about that, because I think that's a very important piece of this whole college planning idea for students. So thank you for that. And also to kind of go into a different direction, but something that's still important for students and campus life and all of the things, activities or organizations that are available for students. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. So one thing that we really push both our academic and career technical students to think about being involved in is Phi Theta Kappa. Phi Theta Kappa, sometimes I say the Greek letters and it, can be a little confusing because you've heard Beta Club, you've heard National Honor Society.
Right.
And well, Phi Theta Kappa is an international community college honor society. So, it is international and students have to make a 3.5 GPA on 15 academic hours. And once they get those 15 hours, then they, I'm sorry, I said academic hours on 15 hours.
Yes.
But once they get those 15 hours, then they are invited to be inducted into Phi Theta Kappa. Once they pay their membership and go through induction, they only have to maintain a 3.2 GPA to be able to stay in good status. Now, I encourage students to do Phi Theta Kappa because even some of our career technical students will transfer to four-year universities and complete degrees. So I encourage students to do this because, as I like to say, this is your big ticket scholarship to a four-year university, especially in Mississippi. So those universities give lots of good money to transfers and good money to transfers who are Phi Theta Kappa. So the higher you get in that GPA bracket, some universities will give you different scholarships based on how high your GPA is. So they might have a baseline scholarship for Phi Theta Kappa, and then if your GPA is in a higher bracket, they may give you more money for that. So Phi Theta Kappa is also a service organization. So not just academic, but also service. So this would be a great way to get some things on your resume, as we are all seeing for years now. Grad schools, jobs, especially in the corporate world, they're looking for a well-rounded student. So not just a student that you can show on paper has great academics, but has great academics and kept some community service or some organization up also. I tell students, be careful, don't overload yourself. We don't want to see that happen. We don't want you to burn out in your freshman and sophomore year of college, right. But you do want to start putting things on that resume because well-rounded students are the ones that kind of get put to the top of the pile when you're applying to med school. And so I tell students at Southwest, you really can do it all. We work well with one another. I actually am over, have co-sponsor of an organization called Bear Trackers, which is our student ambassador team. And we work hand in hand with Phi Theta Kappa, with Student Government Association. So it's kind of cool. We have lots of students who are in all three. And so we kind of give you credit for all three when you work one event. It'll help you be able to kind of juggle everything in your academics too. So Phi Theta Kappa, one of the big ones, of course, we have, like I said, Bear Trackers, our student ambassador team. I have quite a few students who transfer on to do something similar to that at the university level. And then our Student Government Association, of course. We also, from year to year, have a Student Government Association committee. So not only do we have our elective class officers and elected school-wide officers, but we also have committees that kind of help create those activities for students and bring change to campus with the student voice. We also have Tri Beta, which is a junior and senior college biological society. So it's something that you can start here and that can transfer into a university for you as well. We have Future Educators of America, a collegiate DECA program that's actually receives every year state and national awards. We have a student nursing organization for students who are wanting to go into nursing school. And then something that was a huge part of my life here and at my university was our campus ministries. So if that's something that is important to your student and important to your student's heart, we definitely have a place for them here at Southwest in our campus ministries. So those are just to name a few. I should have had a list in front of me. me because I'm a
No.
little nervous. I left somebody out. And so one of my besties is going to be like, hey, you didn't talk about it.
No,
But that's just a little teaser.
that's a perfect way for students to see, hey, there are so many options and different things that you can really get involved in. And those were just to name a few. So
Yes,
that means that
absolutely.
there's more for them to look at. And just to kind of almost close out, just a couple of more things that I kind of want to make sure I ask. Is there anything else that you think would be beneficial for high school counselors to know about Southwest to share with, their students when they meet with them, or just any other new or exciting things that are happening or coming that you just want to make sure that you share?
So, one of the things I want to encourage all of the seniors to think about, I know the counselors, you're already 10 steps ahead of us. It is amazing what you guys do, especially on the little bit of time that you're given to do it when you have these students. But students and parents, remember when you're thinking about scholarships to think outside the box. Now, this is a kind of going to college tip, not just to come into Southwest tip. Okay. This will hopefully be helpful wherever you're going to school. I actually have quite a few students who are good at organizational and leadership skills, and maybe they've decided that they don't want to play a particular sport anymore. They don't want to be on the field and actually actively playing in that competitive sport, but they still want to be part of the team. So remember, there are managerial scholarships for different athletics. There are statistician scholarships for different of the athletics. We have filmers that film one of our athletic teams, and they are on scholarship here at Southwest. So remember, I tell students that box looks different for everyone. So don't put yourself and box yourself in. Think outside of the box. Another way to do that is we have a co-ed cheer squad. They're actually going to national competition when we get back in January, or right before we get back to school in January. And that, I look across our co-ed cheer squad and I see lots of high school male athletes who are continuing their athletics at the college level, but in just a little bit different format. And then we are sending some of those gentlemen on to cheer at their four-year colleges. So think about that when you're thinking about scholarships. You don't have just the things that are kind of on the list. Find a way to and that also gets you plugged in to a different group of people. So that's awesome to think that you're coming into college with a core group of friends before you even really get started. I guess the biggest thing about Southwest is, so I've actually, before I came back to work to Southwest, I recruited at a 4-year SEC university. And my message was consistent, though, because I am a product of community college. I would tell students all the time, apply to your community college. They're there for you, But I would tell students and parents, it is so important to kind of try on the college that you're thinking about going to. It's so important to do the campus visits. Students, you wouldn't go if you worked all summer slinging snowballs to make money to buy a new pair of Jordans. You wouldn't just run in the store the last minute, grab them up, throw them on the register and pay for them and walk out. You would research what color you wanted. You would think about, do I want to order them online? Do I want to go in the store and put them on? What do I want to do? You would spend time thinking about that pair of Jordans. And, typically if mom and dad are paying for it, you're probably just going to rush in, grab something, throw it on. And, sorry, parents, but, I was a teenager once too, so that's sometimes how we do. And so the same way with college, like ultimately, if it's scholarship money, if it's FAFSA money, if it's MTAG money, if it's, maybe it's student loans, hopefully not. Come to Southwest, we'll try to keep you from that as long as we can, but whatever it is, it's your money. And so you want to make sure that you try it on for size. Don't just take your best friend or your boyfriend or your girlfriend's advice about it. Take that into consideration, but go try it on for size. And as I transitioned to this job from the other job, I realized that every college and university says they're like a family. So, I tell students, come see Southwest. We're like a big family. We'll be your home away from home. But I realized that everyone says that. So I started thinking, what makes us different? if everybody's like a family, some families are big, some families are small, some family dynamics are a little different, kind of like all colleges and universities are different. But what sets Southwest apart? Well, we have an incredibly beautiful campus. We have a lake right in the center of our campus. We even have a collegiate bass fishing team that travels. I mean, so yeah, we have all these great opportunities, things like that. But what sets us apart? And I like to say that our faculty are accessible and our students are approachable. And I think that that's what makes us like a family. We have that dynamic where we have open door policies. Our president, it's very easy for a student to be like, hey, can we talk? Can we meet? You can see him walk in the halls. Because of our size, we're able to be so much more accessible and so much more approachable to students than maybe they would feel on other places. So I tell students, come try out Southwest on for size. We would love to see you and roll out the red carpet. We do all of our campus tours individually. So we will set up your visit catered to fit your needs. And you won't be in a huge visit group. You won't be in a massive tour group. It's just you and your posse. And, you know, Miss Karen Lee and company, a few people that I might get to help me. And we make sure that we answer all the questions that you need answered that day. We also do one-on-one advisement appointments instead of a massive orientation. So parents and students love this. It's one of our favorite things that we do on campus. So again, we're not going to put you in a big cattle call environment where you have to stand in a long line, things like that. You call in, you set up an appointment. We schedule an hour blocked off with an advisor just to meet with you and whoever you bring to campus that day with you. And, you know, so you may be sitting there listening to this and be like, yeah, but my best friend's going to be my roommate and we're both going to be in the band together and we're on a band scholarship and we really want our schedules to match up. Well, what we would do is we would schedule you back-to-back appointments. And if you wanted to and gave consent, you could be in each other's appointments and we'll try to cater as best we can depending on what your majors are and your schedules are. So those are some things that we do to kind of create that personal touch. We want to take care of your student. We want to take care of, you know, and take care of their future. By doing that one-on-one advising appointment, we can go ahead and look at articulation agreements, which that's a college word for basically what you take here will transfer to a university. So we want to make sure that we look at those agreements between us and the universities and get them what they need now, starting as a freshman and sophomore. So when they get ready to graduate as a senior from that university, they'll be like, okay, Southwest, we had it right at Southwest. We moved on and we did the right thing. They advised me correctly. We want to make sure that that happens.
I love all of that. I'm so glad that you shared those pieces. And I think it's important for students to hear. And that is always one of my biggest things as well, talking to any student, is go visit the campus. So I'm really glad that you shared that. I think it's very important to hear. And then also just kind of to wrap up, what about, you know, we know that student success is really important while a student is in college. And we know that most colleges have resources for students that kind of help them around their success while they're there. What are some things that y'all offer at Southwest to help students sort of succeed, whether that's, you know, career center, mental health services, those kinds of things?
Absolutely. Well, one thing I mentioned earlier was that our instructors have office hours to meet with you. Quite honestly, my calculus teacher at Southwest is now one of my bosses, and I would not have survived his Cal 1 with an A and Cal 2 with my first B in college ever. There were a couple after that, but that was my first, without going to his office to do my homework. And so that's one of our most valuable resources, our instructors, our faculty members. We also have, which is one of my favorite programs on campus, the Student Success Center. So a student, no matter if they're taking one class that's 1 credit hour or 19 hours worth of classes, if they're career technical, if they're academic, it doesn't matter. They all have access to our Student Success Center, which is all day Monday through Thursday, free tutoring for students. We do have staff and faculty tutors in that facility, but we also have some peer tutors. But the majority of it is done, especially math. We have a lot of students in our area from our, for one reason or another, sometimes college algebra is just not your thing, and I get that. And so I always encourage students, start early in the career technical center. Don't wait till midterms till you're halfway, down the rabbit hole. Let's go ahead and start early, and you can actually go in the the Student Success Center, and go ahead and sign up for kind of like a weekly tutoring session with them early on. So it's absolutely amazing. It's a great, and we have a lady who organizes all of that. And she has a college student herself who is at senior college right now. So she's just super relatable. Also, in talking about mental health, we have some great resources. We have 3 counselors on campus that are here to help students. When I say 3 counselors, I mean our student body is just a little under 2,000. So definitely accurate, to help with students, we have enough. We have one that's just for career technical, and then one that's academic, and then a support person for her if you needed an additional counselor. So I tell students all the time, I actually have the privilege of working through the Academic Counseling Center. That's where academic recruitment comes through. And I get to watch these students, and I don't know their stories. I don't get to sit in on the sessions, but I see them form bonds with those counselors, and come back and visit, and hang out with me while they're waiting to visit. And it's very, very helpful to have support when you go to college. So even if it's not Southwest, seek out those people and find those people at the college or university you're wanting to attend. Then also we have a phenomenal director of student disability support services. I know that sometimes we might have students who have IEPs, or maybe have things that they need a little help with. I've had the privilege to work with hearing impaired students recently. There are lots of different things that a student could need student disability support services for. And just remember, we can't go in retrospect and give you those services. So if you're coming to college and you're thinking, hey, I don't think I need to declare my IEP, we're just going to kind of roll with it and see how it works out. I encourage you to do it the opposite way. Go ahead and put that on file. And then if you're finding out you don't need extra time, or you don't need some services, that's fine, but we can't go back and change your grades later. So another thing to keep in mind about that is that is strictly confidential. I don't even know about those students unless they declare themselves to me. So I know when I graduated from my university, I had one of my friends, I was like, this is so cool. We have this thing here that I didn't even know. And she was like, yeah, I received services all my 4 years, 2 years at JUCO and 2 years at the university. And I was like, I had no idea. We took classes together. So strictly confidential. And also remember, forbid, but you may have an injury or something like that, and student disability support services can help you be able to park in a certain place or things like that. Right. Those are other services that are here for our students.
I love it. Those are all amazing things. So thank you for sharing those. And I think that everything that was talked about today is just great for students to hear. And I love to hear it too, because I learn new things. Yes. So Karen Lee, thank you so much for sharing. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Molly.